Well, a very lively chat to start off the stream. Welcome back, everyone. I appreciate it. It's always good to see so many friendly faces already in, even before I hit the go button. So that's always exciting. So tonight, kind of a whole swath of things kind of on the docket to go through and look at. I would like to look at getting a material design release out the door. The 510, there's been a number of bug fixes, and usually when I start seeing the same bug reports come through on things that are already fixed, it kind of indicates that I probably should be kicking a release. So I wanted to at least spend a little time looking through what's outstanding, and maybe we punt some stuff, maybe we fix some stuff. We'll see, we'll see. And then a little bit of Velopack stuff. I've got a desire to get some Uno documentation out. I'm wearing my Uno shirt. Spoiler alert, I met some of the Uno folks when I was at the build conference, and they were kind enough to give me a shirt. Apparently, they've been loving my material design library and have been using it for years. And I was like, that's so cool. And they're like, we would like to give you a shirt. I was like, I like shirts, so that sounds great. I'll even wear it. But I want to go through. I did kind of a simple demo for them with an Uno app and Velopack while I was there, but I'd like to get that sample, or probably redo the sample, since the one that I did was it was quickly rushed through in a hotel room one night. We're going to do it a little cleaner, but get a sample of that put into the docs so that there's something there to look at, because apparently a lot of Uno developers don't have a great installer option. Well, look at that. I've got a great installer option for them. So let's give them a nice sample so that they can see how it needs to go. And yes, Izzy, of course, we're trying to get the wishes to come true. But Pikachu, I did not forget. Last time you asked the question about hash codes versus GUIDs, when we use each. And I think last week I was feeling like crap and was tired and said, yeah, we'll punt that till next time. So I appreciate the patience. And so because of that, we're going to start there. Because why not? Right? Okay. So I made a test project because this is the way we do things. Right? So first thing we're going to call out. Right? So we're just going to make a new foo object. Right? So first of all, Izzy, I love your comments. So first of all, get hash code is a method that lives on system.object, meaning every object in C# has a get hash code implementation. And if we go through and look, it is also a method that we can go through and override. So every type, in addition to having a get hash code method, the method on the base class is virtual and can be overridden and changed. This is important to note because it's very possible that when working with types, somebody could do something incredibly stupid and, implement get hash code like this. This would be an example of a bad implementation, right? So, and then the other type in question that we were mentioning is GUIDs, right? So for people who aren't familiar with, and every time I've heard it pronounced, it's been pronounced GUID, but there was it? I heard somebody pronounce it differently the other day, and it caught me off guard. And it took me a minute to realize that this is what they were talking about. I've seen people GUID, like they'll just read off the letters. That feels weird to me. GUID sounds better. It's also fun to say. It's kind of like gooey. Yeah. Squid. GUID. Yeah. Yeah, or GUID. GUID, that's what I heard somebody say the other day out loud, and I was like, a GUID? What the heck? Like it's weird. So yeah, people pronounce it differently, but the key part here is globally unique identifier, right? So it's not quite an acronym because I and D are both identifier, because we developers are stupid, and if it was just GUI, well, people would think we were talking about a user interface, and so we had to leave the D on there. I'm making that up. But it sounds like a good reason, so we're gonna go with it. So a few things to note about GUIDs, right? Or GUIDs, or dang it, I'm now going to be messing this up. Is there are specifically, this is going to be .NET specific. you will hear sometimes differing opinions of it, and it's kind of important to note when people talk about these which version of .NET. If they are on anything recent, like in the last, I think, 6-7 years ish or more, um, they they are on the latest GUID algorithm. You'll see people reference V1, V2, V3, V4. And in way ye olden days, like way back when I first started doing software, the values that were generated when you would call new GUID, right? Um, could be portions of it were based upon hardware. And the problem with that is it means that the same piece of hardware or things with matching hardware could theoretically generate duplicates because the amount of bits that were used as the random part was not the entire space, right? Because the size of this thing, if we look at it, oh, it doesn't show me the size of it. Is let's see if I can get this right. Bigger than the number of grains of sand on the seashore. I've seen some weird comparisons to how many values you can store in here. And one time, just to be cheeky, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put these things in a loop, and see how long it takes until I generate a duplicate. Spoiler alert, my system ran out of memory and it crashed long before I got to that point. So they're pretty darn unique in most situations. There are a handful of situations you will see people reference a sequential GUID, which sounds incredibly stupid, especially if you can't spell sequential. See, wow. Sometimes the spell check just makes me. Yeah, Izzy, I believe you're right. I think. Because I'm trying to remember, at one point in time, I had looked up the algorithms for like the V1, V2, V3. I do think that part of it may have been time-based. And it was specifically really problematic because in like a lot of like universities with computer labs, they often like get a swath of machines that have identical hardware. And by identical, I mean things like the MAC address on the NIC was identical and matching. Like people always think those are unique. They might not be, right? So I've worked on I think 2 or 3 projects now where people always want to uniquely identify a PC and they try to do it by looking at the hardware in it. I am convinced after doing this now 2 or 3 times, it is impossible to uniquely identify a PC from its hardware. It is basically impossible because unless you are tolerant of duplicates, because there's so many things that can go wrong trying to identify the hardware and identifiers on the hardware because they're controlled by manufacturers, and sometimes they're unique, sometimes they aren't, sometimes the value's not there, and so trying to get a good identifier of it is really bloody hard. So the last one, this is how we identified each machine. We just generated one of these suckers and then stashed it in a file. It was much easier. And what if I change my hardware? Yeah, that's the other problem is what happens when you upgrade, your CPU? Does that count as a new computer? Right? A long time ago, there was a company called MapleSoft. They made mathematics hardware or mathematics software, and their license code that they genned was bound to the hardware because I got bit when I swapped my hard drive out and they identified it as a new PC. I'm like, it's the same PC. I just got a bigger hard drive. What's the problem? Yeah, is like there's plenty of those things that bite you. But the key thing here is latest .NET with one of these guys. These are pretty darn unique. I have heard tale of people claim that they've seen duplicates. And it's in theory possible, but it's very, very unlikely to the point of I think you have better odds of winning the lottery than generating a duplicate one of these suckers. Even with all of the randomness and all of that stuff. In ye olden days, I think it was potentially more likely to hit. The other place where people can sometimes claim to get duplicates is when these GUIDs aren't necessarily generated by .NET. So I mentioned sequential GUIDs. Like databases will do this because it's quite common when you're making a record in a database to have the primary key be a GUID. It's very, very convenient because it gives a little bit of freedom in that you can actually let the caller specify the primary key rather than the database. Or you can let the database do it, but because databases really like order and sorting because they like to query fast, a lot of databases have a concept of a sequential GUID where it's not like you're auto incrementing ints for their primary keys, but they'll generate GUIDs in an order, and it's sometimes weird which bits they increment. You kind of have to look at them funny because when you look at the string representation of a GUID, you get something like boom, right? When you look at the string representation of a GUID, you get something like this, right? And if I just randomly gen these, right, everything changes. But sometimes on the sequential GUID algorithms, they increment the first byte, which means it's actually this second letter digit that actually starts counting. So it gets weird because endianness starts playing into it and things get funny, right? Because when you're looking at hex values, every 2 digits is 8 bytes. So it's funky. It's funky. So if you have a system like that, it is also very possible to get dupes, right? Because now you've thrown away the randomness based stuff, and then it goes through and does it. Yeah, so it's kind of like that, Pikachu, where the base GUID kind of has a starting value, and then they increment forward. Usually, it's incrementing one of the bytes, and obviously that has to go through. But because of endianness and where they might do it, they only guarantee them sequential so that the sorting can be optimized. Because databases, when you're talking about building indexes, there's a lot of performance that can come when you have an ordered list of things, right? If you've done any sort of like algorithms class, where people will talk about very simplistic things like binary search or B trees or similar, a lot of those algorithms come from the idea of having order and sorting to things. And so things that want to do those kinds of lookups like to have things that are sequential, and just blindly generating new things means that it has to do some extra processing because it's like, oh shoot, now where in the order does it go? Where if it knows that it's generating them in order, it knows that it's next. It doesn't have to basically do like an insert in order and figure out the appropriate place to insert things. So it makes like adding new records a little bit quicker. Great, huzzah, whatever. Most people, when you get to that level of optimization, like, you know it fairly well, right? So the question then is hash codes, because hash codes are ints, right? And the maximum value of an int is what, 2 billion something or another, right? Trying to remember exactly the value. 2 1. Oh, that's. Wait, what? Oh. If you type int.max, that doesn't take you to the max value property. There we go. Yeah. So, oh, and it's, yeah, the largest 32-bit unsigned number. I want to say 2 trillion, 2 billion, 2.1 something, right? The size of this, yeah, it depends on the architecture. Though in C# you can at least make the assumption that hash codes are going to be a 32-bit signed number. And so hash codes also can technically be negative, right? You can think of them going either way. Whereas, so the address space of a hash code is 32 bits. The address space of this guy, right? Because if we look at, where's my GUID thing? There we go. Dang it, come back, come back. Yeah, the 4 was that 4.2 billion? That is going to be unsigned, I believe. Because oh, hey, look at that. That's a good point. Calculator, scientific, programmer mode, right? And then we go hex and we go 7, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So decimal value, look at that. Remember 32 bits. Right? Just put it in bits mode. Yeah, you can go bits mode, but hex. Hex is cool. Oh, yeah. So if you've never seen this, Pikachu, this is basically gold when you get into any sort of computer science class where they make you do base calculations. Pro tip, developers, only some of them can do these kind of calculations in their head. Most of us cheat and use calculators or similar. It's kind of like when they teach you to do long division by hand and then they show you how to use a tool. Everyone in industry I know of uses tools because we are way too lazy. Yeah, exactly. So highest one, if we take the last bit and flip it though, like this is where you're getting that 4.2, right? Is if you can leverage this last bit. There is an algorithm called 2's complement that is worth looking into. It's basically how do we represent positive and negative integers without wasting a bit for having positive and negative 0, which technically C# has positive and negative 0. That's a fun one. I've been bit by it and it sucks. Very much sucks. Thank you. I forgot about that. But if we go here, right? So we've got 32 bits for this int here. And if we look at the calculator, let's see, every 2 of these is 8. So 1, 2, let's see, that's 16, 24. So this is how much of this is an int. This is how much additional bits are available to a GUID. So one of these is significantly bigger than another, right? And the purpose of them is a little bit different. So the intent with a hash code, so inside of C#, we have something called a hash set. And this guy here is the underpinnings to a lot of other types. So we're going to look at hash set by itself, and then we'll promote ourselves up to like dictionary or something that leverages it. Right? So the idea with a hash set is, well, one, it's a set. So unlike a list, the items aren't necessarily ordered. So if you were to do something like this, where you do for I in result, right? You are not guaranteed the order in which items come out of a hash set. Now, in .NET, the hash set implementation does return them back in a deterministic order, and I believe it's either in the Microsoft Learn or right in the XML docs. It must be in the Microsoft Learn ones. If we go F1. Yeah, so pro tip, if you put your cursor on a type and hit F1 in Visual Studio, you'll jump right out to the docs. Really, really convenient. There are, was it that supplemental? I think it was the supplemental links. There's docs. Yeah. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. There is a comment somewhere in here that I'm not sure where it is, that specifically warns you that the order of items is not guaranteed, because the order of items that you're going to get back is going to be based upon, yeah. So a hash set collection is not sorted and cannot contain duplicate elements, right? So there is no implicit ordering to these things. But in exchange for not having ordering, the lookup speed on a hash set is fast. Very, very fast. The thing that a hash set is really good at, result.contains, right? This call, if you're familiar with measuring the big O speed of algorithms, is constant. So this is big O of 1 for the lookup on a hash set. So they're not ordered, they can't contain dupes, but it's very fast in knowing if it contains a duplicate. Because of this, hash sets get used in a lot of places where order is not important, where it's more critical to be able to look things up and find where things are much faster than it is to keep them in an order, because oftentimes you can sort things later if you care about them. So when an item, and so this is hash set of int, but let's get something slightly more interesting, right? So we will go public class person, and I am intentionally skipping the record type for the moment, right? Name, age. Great. That sounds like what would make up a person. Right? And we're going to do something like this just to shut it up. Okay, so if I do a hash set of person, right? And we're going to do let's see. Can I Hey Copilot, you want to do some work for me? Insert a bunch of random person objects into the hash set. I'm curious, Copilot, can you do my work for me? Yep, that sounds great. Thank you. Thank you, Copilot. You've been a wonderful help. Yeah, this is why Copilot is awesome, in case it wasn't obvious already. Let's see, collection initializer. Yeah, Pikachu, I think you said you were a student, which, I believe the GitHub student pack comes with access to Copilot. Let's see. OpenAI. Trying to look to see what this offers in this bundle. GitHub Copilot. Yeah. So if you haven't already done so, like as long as you have a student email address, you should sign up for the student developer pack. The amount of free stuff you get with this is insane. It's amazing. Like tons of great stuff, lots of tools. Basically, they're trying to get students to fall in love with their tools so that when they go out into the workforce, the students are basically addicted to their tools and then force the employer to buy them. That's more or less the business proposition here. But at least while you're a student, it means tons of free stuff. So yeah, sign up for student developer pack, and then you too can have access to tons of free stuff. So every student should know about that. Okay, anyway, we've got this. So now the question is, if I do, you know, person, let's do Mike. That sounds great. Right? So if I create a new Mike, right? Name Mike, age 35. Wow, Copilot, that's insane. Now, if I want to say assert true, what is your problem? Assert contains. Fine, whatever. I like assert true right now, so shut up. Shut up, X unit. We're going to do assert true because it reads better. So the idea here is we want to know, does this hash set contain Mike? Now, if we run this, it's going to fail. All right, so put this. Come here, Tess. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Right, test fails. So expected true, was false, no worky. Right, not shocking. But the idea here is, because this is a separate person instance, when it goes through and does the comparison, when it's adding people into this hash set, the way it indexes it is it calls person.getHashCode. Right? And so if we do override get hashcode, right, we can look at, let's do var rv, call the base, return rv. Right? So if we put a breakpoint here, and we'll actually put a breakpoint here as well. So if we debug this test again, what we're going to see is we're going to see this call to get hashcode trigger for all of these person objects. So if we look, come on, give me, so we've got name, age, right? And we get a hashcode back of, you know, ye big number, right? Doesn't matter what it is. And we can just kind of keep pressing F5, step, 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 step. Okay, so we've inserted all of those people. They all have fun hash codes. And now when we come into here, what's going to happen is this Mike is going to get a very different hash code, because the base get hash code implementation isn't taking our value data into account, right? It's just random number as far as we're concerned. The default implementation of get hash code is random number, right? We can't actually look at the implementation. This is one of those things that is highly optimized at the runtime level to go really bloody fast. So the implementation though is every separate instance gets its own hash code. And there are a chance of dupes that, like, the address space is only 2.1 billion, so, or 4.2 billion, because they could be negative. But even with that, like, so if we generate 5 billion objects by the pigeonhole principle, we're going to get a dupe somewhere in that 5 billion. We just don't have enough numbers. That's the long and short of it. And so the hash set internally, it has to handle, if it gets 2 items added that have the same hash code, it then needs to figure out, okay, is this the same object or is it something different, right? So if we were to go through and do, right, so if I pull out, if I do this and do result dot add p, right? So I'm literally trying to duplicate and add the same items back in, right? If we run this again, and I'm going to turn off this breakpoint so I don't get stuck at it forever, right? If I look at the number of items in here, I still have a count of 5. I need to hang on. Let's see if I remember right. If I go control 4, there we go. Now I can actually interact with it. There we go. So even though I've added 5 things and then re-added 5 more things, it knows, because these are the same instances, they return the same hash code, and they are equal. Therefore, it goes, nah, that I've already got that item. I don't need to actually store it again, right? So then the question becomes, what do we do when we want to actually have this mic instance work? Oh, I hate that. Sorry, I got bit by this the other day too. How did I get out of it? Is it there? My cursor has disappeared. The funny thing is I can see it on the stream, but I can't see it on my monitor, which is going to make this a little interesting. I go here and here. There we go. Okay. I got to be careful. The Zoom It tool has a small bug where the cursor disappears, and it's really annoying. Okay, so if we want this thing to actually work properly, what we can do is we can say, okay, for the person object, what we would like to do is we would like to generate a hash code rather than using the base. We would like to generate a hash code based upon these values. Now, conveniently, there is a nice built-in class called HashCode, where we can say, okay, let's do this, right? We're going to go through and build a hash code up that is a combination of name and age. If you are on an older version of .NET that doesn't have access to hash code, a very common way of doing this is something like int rv equals name.getHashCode, and then something like this. This looks, this algorithm looks, oh wow, that is hilarious. Zoom It has lost its mind. I'm going to restart it because it is, oh wow, and I've lost it on my other screen too. That is really annoying, Zoom It. This bug is going to bother me. I think I got it. Nope, dang it. Not being able to see your cursor is really annoying. There, I see it. There. I think if I put it here, and then I X out of it, no. Here, and then I put my cursor here, and I do that. Wow. Okay, I may just have to go cursorless. This is going to be real annoying. I think I need to update my Zoom It. I vaguely recall them seeing put out a fix for the bug. In fact, I might just try to do it real quick if I can. PowerShell. Sorry. I would drag the window over, but I can't see my cursor. Winget update, zoom it, but I can type. Winget search, zoom it. What is the name of this sucker? Oh, it's going to make me... Oh, cursor's back. There we go. Wow. That is annoying. Okay. I'm going to be a little more careful with that feature. Oh, thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate it. So if you don't have access to this hash code class here or struct, a very common implementation for generating hash codes looks something like this. You basically get the hash code of every member that you care about, and then you multiply it by a large prime number. In this case, 397 is just a large prime number. I know, it's not that big. The important part, and I don't claim to understand the math, but multiplication by large prime numbers has the nice mathematical property of making a nice even distribution. Because the idea is we want different person objects to have very different hash codes. We don't want them to land in the same bucket. Right? And then the caret operator here is just the XOR operator, so it just inverts all the ones and zeros. And this would end up being, you know, poor man's hash code algorithm. This is what people used to have to write. And then that got annoying, and Microsoft just added a hash code class, and now we write this because this makes our life a little bit easier. Right? And so now if we run this test, this should now pass. Because now that our hash code is no longer based on implementation, yeah, and instead is based upon the values. Oh, haha. Dang it. I thought it would work. I know it's wrong. We'll fix it in a second. Now when it calls get hash code on this mic, and this mic should be the exact same hash code. So I'm going to, just for the sake of argument and making my life easy, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. That way we can debug in and see what's happening here. And I will show you. Because there's one other minor thing that's worth knowing about with hash code. Hey Benjamin, do you want to grab the essential C# link for hash code? Because I think it's actually quite good. Okay, so first of all, we're hitting the first one from up here. This one. We can see name is Mike, age is 35, and we got a hash code of -9186, blah, blah, blah. Okay? We're going to hit this method one more time when we get down to this contains. Right? So we get down here, and we can see that we generated the exact same hash code. The fact that they're white is Visual Studio saying, hey, these values haven't changed since the last time you hit this breakpoint. But we know that we came in here from a different instance. Right? So we can do that, and we can see, well, this expected true but was false. The reason is hash codes, we think of them, I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw it up like code, right? You can think of internally hash codes storing things in an array, right? And in order to know which element of the array it's going to store the object at, it uses the hash code to figure out, oh, okay, this is where I'm going to put it. So if your hash code is -900,000 whatever, you go in bucket 3, right? So you've got, you know, null, Mike, right? And then there's null, ... more nulls, right? So internally, your hash set looks like this, and it figured out this index by using the hash code. When it calls into here, the reason it can do such a fast lookup to know whether it already contains Mike is it calls get hash code on this Mike instance and says, ah, I know that based on this hash code, because you do hash code modulus insert array size, right? That I look in index 3. The problem is step 2 that I forgot about is now that it's looking in the index, it knows that both this Mike instance and this Mike instance both have the same hash code. Now the question is, are they equal or not? It did the lookup very quickly, but then it still has to figure out, are these things equal? So in .NET, there is a coding principle that says if you override get hash code, you should also override the equals method as well. Because if you just do get hash code, it's only half of the battle, right? So if object equals null, return false, right? Sure. You want to write the whole thing for me? Actually, you know what? Screw it. Hey, Copilot. Isn't it alt / There we go. Implement this using name and age. Go. See, it's almost like thinking. Yeah, that's not a bad implementation. Close enough. Close enough. So, couple things worth calling out here. One, if it's null, early exit because reasons. This sort of get type is quite common in equals implementations. You'll also see people do things like or object is not person, right? You'll see people occasionally do that. The disadvantage of this is that allows derived types to sneak through, right? Whereas this is very explicit. If you're a derived type of person, even if you have the same values, we aren't going to consider you equal. That's oftentimes a judgment call, but this is somewhat common. Normally, you don't do type compare. You don't do type checks like this. This is one of the few cases where comparison on type is acceptable, depending on your use case, right? And then we do our equality based on saying, okay, if the name matches and the age matches, these two objects are equal. Now, if we run it, it should pass. Come on, there we go. So, hash code into here. So that is hash code. Now, to go back all the way to the original question is, when do you use hash code? When do you use GUIDs? In general, I don't remember the last time I manually invoked get hash code for anything. So it's rare that you would. I've implemented get hash code quite a bit, but I don't know that I've actually used the return value from get hash code directly. I've often used it indirectly by leveraging something like a hash set, right? A GUID is any time where I want to guarantee that something's unique within my system. Primary keys in a database, good example. Sometimes we use it to separate instances or other things. Like, it's kind of a heavy-handed way of saying, darn it, I want a unique value, because it's a lot of bytes. And oftentimes people are like, oh, I hate GUIDs, they're too big. It's like, yeah, they're big, but unless you're building high performance stuff, the extra bytes is not a big deal, right? Because oftentimes people don't need uniqueness across the globe. They only need uniqueness within their memory space or their process or similar, right? GUID is like, I'm going to be unique regardless of where in the planet and what time it is. Doesn't matter. I'm always different, right? Do you need that level of uniqueness? Maybe. And people oftentimes use them, like I said, as database keys. Yeah. So they are slightly, and expensive might be I don't know, that might be too generous of a word. They are more expensive than ints. That is a true statement. But are they expensive? Not really. Like, we spin them up all the time. And yes, they take a few extra bytes. So if you need uniqueness, a GUID is a perfect option for you. If you are concerned about hashing, which again, hashing is all about finding the appropriate index into a collection, right? If you think of that being a hash code is just a way of indexing items into a collection, and you want to avoid collisions. Because if everything if we implemented our hash code like this, right? This is a bad hash code implementation. Everything's at 0. This basically mitigates the benefits of a hash set. because the whole point of a hash set is being very fast lookups. The problem is if everything is indexed into the exact same bucket in the hash set, it then has to do equality checks on every single item when you call contains. That's not good, right? But if everything hashes into a different bucket, it only has to do an equality check on one item. Again, it works just fine. Like, it doesn't matter that the hash code implementation is garbage. You've just kind of removed the whole point of what makes it awesome. Yeah, and that's perfect. That's actually perfectly fine. Even on Velopack, like here, and I'll just even straight show you, right? Like, if I go into my API, or actually my database layer, right? My base entity, the primary key on all of my database objects is a GUID, because I didn't want to futz around with uniqueness stuff. It was like, no. The other nice thing about GUIDs for primary keys is it means I don't need the database to gen it for me. So in test cases where it's like, I want to insert a record and I want the primary key to be this, I can actually gen the ID ahead of time and then tell the database, hey, insert a new record and use this as for the ID. So that's, it's very convenient for that, because then you can actually gen the ID ahead of time. You don't need to wait for the database to do it. Like with an int, you really can't gen it ahead of time, because there's always that collision possibility, and because the space is so much smaller, it's more likely. So with int primary keys, you almost always have to do the insert and have the database tell you what the ID was that it assigned, because you can never guarantee that if you assign one, that somebody else won't like sneak in on you and take that ID right out from underneath you. Whereas with a GUID, the odds of somebody generating the exact same one and inserting ahead of you are basically nil. Again, possible, but if it happens, you should probably be buying lottery tickets and save yourself a whole career in software development, because that would be kind of cool. Okay, the one other thing I wanted to call out, because I did talk about hash sets, and then the other big collection that actually ends up using this, right, is dictionaries. Let's see, people. Uh, I've won my own game a bunch of times, so I have a test case with a GUID I generate online. Yes, but if at that point, if you're setting the single ID every time, yeah, you do get bit. But it's I oftentimes leverage that as a good way of checking for stuff. Robert, welcome. Long time no see. We haven't hit the WPF stuff yet, but don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Dictionary. So dictionary is the other really common collection type in .NET that uses a hash set internally, because a hash set is just a set of thingies, in this case, a set of person objects. A dictionary allows you to key into things. Yeah, they absolutely are. And internally, you can think of a dictionary as having like a hash set of keys that then map to indexes where the people are located, right? It's kind of fun if you ever want to go through, if you want a fun little exercise to try to understand hash sets, implement your own dictionary class. It doesn't need to be efficient. It's not going to match the Microsoft one. They've spent a ridiculous amount of time to optimize this. Don't try to match it, but just get a dictionary, like, create my dictionary and have it match behavior, not necessarily performance. But the idea here is, these things have an easy way of like contains key, because it can. But I just happen to be awake tonight. Awesome. But these do have an easy way of being able to look up those items. So especially if you have like key value pair type situations, dictionaries are really, really good for that, because it's quite often that you will have an object, and maybe this object has a good get hash code implementation, maybe it doesn't. And in those cases, sometimes the solution is, well, I know that, maybe person has a, we'll just combine these, right? So we do this, right? So if we pretend we do this, right? And let's pretend that person is a class that we don't control, right? It's coming from an outside library, whatever, right? But we could easily do something like this, right? And we could say, okay, well, let's take our results and convert it to a dictionary, and we're going to go ahead through and take all of the people and we're going to key them based on their ID. Right? So I now get a dictionary where the keys are the unique IDs and the values are the people. So even though this thing doesn't have a good get hash code implementation, it gives me the ability to say I want to do a quick lookup. And it's quite common to use dictionaries in situations where that kind of lookup is exactly what you want to do, because the cost of building a dictionary may end up being cheaper. Like if you're doing a lot of lookups of, hey, I want to go through and count like the number of people that have the name Mike, right? So we could do something like this and default all of these to 0. So I end up with a dictionary that has all the same IDs as these people. And then every time I go to insert a Mike, I might say, okay, oh, I need Mike's ID. GUID Mike's ID, right? Pretend we looked this up. There we go. See? Oh, Copilot, do it again. Right? So if people contain Mike's ID, we can just straight index into our dictionary and say, okay, we're going to go through and increment this count or similar. Like this type of situation occurs quite a bit because the dictionary has the same fast lookup performance as a hash set. And so because it will give us that nice fast lookup and retrieval, it makes it very nice for storing additional data. Because unlike a hash set where the key and the value are the same thing, dictionary lets us separate those two concepts. So these are the common use cases. Does that answer all the questions, Pikachu? Did I cover that well enough? Yeah, there are a lot of things in here. When we teach C# at one of the local universities, like the key collection types that everyone needs to know about for the vast majority of C# development, you need to know about list and you need to know about dictionary. Like these are what get used the vast majority of the time. Like when people need a collection type, these are what people reach for. There are other ones out there, like hash set exists. There are concurrent versions of these for thread safety and all that jazz, right? But by and large, I would say that most people, when they are using some sort of collection in C#, it's going to be list or dictionary. That's the sum total of all of them. And every other collection type that's built in anywhere usually has some sort of specialized purpose, right? Of I want something that's not quite this, but sort of that, right? It's like, okay. The other thing that hash set is really good for, though, is like distinct, right? It's like, hey, I've got a list of things, but I want a distinct set. I don't want all of them, right? Sometimes rather than, going through and checking if something has been seen before, if you just dump all of your items into a hash set and then pull them back out, you've now got a distinct list. So cheap tricks. Because I will say, this is one thing that's worth noting. Hash set's add method returns a bool, right? So this one pulls back out and will tell you whether the item actually got added or false if it says, oh, no, I've already seen that item and dumped it. So that could sometimes be really helpful. I've abused that quite a bit in different algorithms. Yeah, like observable collection is a great one because if you want like an iNotify property changed. Let's see. I've never had a great use of concurrent list types. Yeah. Yeah, and it really depends on what you're doing, because the if all you want to do is add a collection of items into a set, the concurrent collections are great. But you're right that in a lot of cases the um you can sometimes do similar with either a semaphore slim or a lock keyword, just because it is easier. Or it is easier because it's oftentimes you don't want to synchronize just the collection access. You want to synchronize collection access plus some other state, right? One other thing I'm going to show off. Um, yeah, this. This is so. If you haven't seen this, Pikachu as well. Essential C sharp. Um, Spoiler alert. My name's kind of attached to this, so I'm biased. But the entire book's contents are right here. So if somebody wants a physical paper copy, you can get a paper copy. I don't make any money off this. Um, in fact, the author Mark Michaelis, though he does make some money, does not make much. It turns out being an author is not always a great moneymaker. Um, but the if all you want is the contents of the book, everything is online here on the site, and we are slowly adding more and more stuff. Like if you want a set of all of the coding guidelines from the book in one concise location, we have this, and we've got lots of other cool stuff coming along. And if you find problems with it, please use the feedback button. It's not advanced. It literally just takes you to a GitHub repo. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here. We've got some cool AI stuff coming. Yeah, C Sharp 12 is so last week. Yes, don't worry. The intent is to update content on or around November when V next drops. There is a bit of a catch 22 though, is this content tries to focus solely on the C sharp language and not on the .NET framework, or the .NET BCL. And so this is from the very first stream. Awesome. So I will say in some ways it's great and in some ways it's bad because it focuses only on the language. You won't learn anything around frameworks like ASP.NET or similar. And sometimes we have omitted content that is around like the base class libraries because they aren't specifically related to the language. The problem is there's a very blurry line between things that are base class library and things that are language, because those things get intertwined in very mucky ways. And so there's some judgment calls. So some people are like, oh, the book moves too slow. Some people are like, oh, it's too much. And there's just no pleasing everybody. So it's like, whatever. But we do have some cool stuff coming with this. So more to come. And right now there is a login that people can log in and do so. Spoiler, at present, there's nothing special about the login. Sorry, Benjamin. The log that we do have other features that we plan to put behind the login page, but yeah, there aren't any there yet. So if you log in, congratulations. It's not actually changing the experience at all. I think you get to see your name in the corner. That is the change in experience. It's very exciting. Okay. So, a couple things then here. Is there homework? I mean, there could be. There could be. And yeah, for people who are interested, we have we have talked about at different points trying to because we teach a class for the local university, or I shouldn't say we teach a class. We teach multiple classes for the local university. There's a C sharp basics class. There is a web class, and then there's like an Azure DevOps class. Right? We were annoyed at the quality of graduates that were coming from the local university, and their solution was, "You want to come teach?" It's like, not how I was planning on doing this. So we have a bunch of people that go and teach. We have a bunch of people that act as graders, because quite often grading students' homework is a great way to learn, because students are remarkable at their ingenious ways of coming up with ways to botch an assignment. It's shocking. They are very clever. I love homework. But that we have also used the class at times for people who are wanting to just audit and learn. So, a 42,000 word essay summary of essential C sharp. Yeah. So, Pikachu, if you are interested in learning more, time in an IDE. Yeah, that I will say this. After teaching at the university, I have gained a sincere appreciation for how hard it is to be a teacher, because being a teacher is very much a full-time job, and oftentimes it's more than a 40-hour work week, which is kind of normal in the US, right? And teachers oftentimes work more than 40 hours. And then if they are teaching something that's a specialty like computer science, I don't know how they survive, because the industry for software moves so fast. Like, I work in industry and sometimes struggle to keep up. I don't understand how somebody not working in the industry, working more than 40 or 50 hours already, could even have a prayer of trying to keep up and then incorporate those changes into their curriculum. Like, that just doesn't seem possible to me. So I have no idea how. I don't know how to fix the problem either. So yeah, then you end up getting to work and using Notepad. Yeah, so that is also exciting. Okay, so I'm gonna close down some stuff here. I just realized something. I don't think I have. I think I did it on my other computer. Oh, I didn't I? Oh, get tools and features. Did they rename this? No. Where's my extension? Oh, there it is. I'm sitting here looking at tools. I'm like, I can't find it. I can't find it. Okay. I want to find Uno. Oh, I don't even have Uno installed. Excellent. I was worried it was going to be easy. Yeah, it is very, I will say that it is very frustrating at times, because I totally get it. And I don't know how to have teachers and instructors that know enough about latest industry stuff to be able to teach it. Oh, my GUID window is blocking my install. Excellent. That's exciting. Okay, we're gonna install Uno real quick. That way we can spin this, because I think I want to do the Velopack stuff first. I will say, well, that's installing. I did briefly kind of glance at the things in the 5.1 milestone for material design. There's not the numeric up down control, and this was for you, Izzy. I think is the only thing that I really was hoping to get in, and honestly, I'm the hang up on it, because I need to go back and fix up my work. All of these other ones, like, there's a handful of these that are just simple changes that maybe I should just spend a little time going through and sniping them, because they aren't hard. This one here should probably make it in, because Joris, I hope I'm saying that right, opened a PR on it already, and I kicked the pipeline for it, and I think it passed. Yeah, it did. The only thing that I want to double check is, so if it's not obvious, because I stared at this for a minute before I realized what was going on. I ended up cranking the padding up so I could see it. I'm going to try the zoom button. Right, there is a teeny little black bar here, right? Versus if you go down here, no teeny little black bar. So the idea is, does the content, and it's kind of hard because the scroll viewer is down a little bit, of where the padding gets applied. Does the padding get applied inside the scroll viewer for the content going up and down, right? Basically giving you more content to scroll. Or does the padding pad the viewport of the scroll viewer? That's the subtle change here. And I like the change. The only thing that's giving me pause of why I haven't merged it yet, because I downloaded it and ran it, is I wanted to test a test a default WPF application without material design, because though I like this, I'm always cautious about making changes if they differ from how the built-in control works, because I try to leave the material design library in a situation where people can drop it in an existing app without it screwing up their behavior too much. Now, this is kind of an edge case where it's like, well, even if it's different, is it that big of a deal? Maybe not. Like I think it's better and it makes more sense the way that it is here. But if it's different than the default control, it's going to give me a little bit more pause, just a teeny bit. Yeah, and honestly, like I think my company's in a nice, unique situation where we get a lot of benefit from from the classes. Like we oftentimes, that's where we pull either in new hires for entry level devs or for our summer interns. A lot of them come from our classes that we teach, which is really convenient because like hopefully none of the students are on here. I'll say it anyway. Um, there's kind of a job offer on the line for the students when they go through the class. Like they don't always realize it, but if you make it through 2 or 3 classes with our devs, like we know exactly which students have a good work ethic, which ones are going to make good team members. Like we've had multiple quarters, we've seen who is good at actually following through on the homework, we've seen who has good attendance, we've seen who actually does good work and ask questions. And it's actually surprising we don't always go for the person in the class with the highest grade, right? Like sometimes it works out and the person with the highest grade is also going to be a great team member, but there's enough other stuff around that. But there have been a handful of times. Um, there was one person that had messaged us that wasn't from the area, was looking to move up here, and was interested in a job, but didn't have any good C# experience. And we're like, well, would you be interested in just auditing the class? They were, uh, they were from the southern U.S., right? So not local, but they would remote in and we'd stream it via Teams. And our Teams streaming is not like, we have problems every so often. And but they would come in and it's obviously a subpar experience if you're doing it streaming versus in person. But they ran circles around the students in the class, like blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind, because the assignment would come out and oftentimes the stream wouldn't work well, and so they would get the recording like the next day, and even being delayed by like 24 hours, they would still have their assignment in first. It's like, what the heck? Yeah. See, Pikachu, that is, I will say this, having all of the drive I think is sometimes more valuable than having the knowledge. It is sometimes better, because that's honestly where I see students struggle the most. Whenever I hear a student come in and go, "Hey, so I was working on this thing in my spare time," or "Hey, I was, looking into this other thing as part of the assignment," like those types of comments, just I light up and get excited. I'm like, "Yes, yes, I've got somebody who likes to learn. That's perfect." So, yeah, don't lose that. That is important. That is very important. Oh, I don't want Launchpad. I want the Repo Explorer. Okay, I don't want the Essential C#. And at some point, we've talked about doing a talk on the Essential C# stuff. Here, spoiler, this isn't even all of the repos backing that site. We have an insane amount of stuff that has gone into it. Like, we want to do a talk on the Essential C# stuff. Oh, I completely spaced something. I am supposed to, Bocan.net user group. Okay. I am supposed to plug my event and I completely forgot to do it. Okay. So, shameless self promotion. Oh, thank you, Pikachu. I appreciate it. I am giving a talk at the local.net user group. It is going to be all on iConfiguration stuff, and being able to set up your options and doing configuration properly. And yes, I may have trained an LLM to help me write this description. That's irrelevant. But yes. Huh. I wonder who wrote this description of me. It's very nice. Did I write this? I don't remember writing this. Huh. Somebody wrote a very nice description about me. I should think, Dan. But if anybody is interested, this is coming up July 9th, 6 p.m. This is Pacific Standard Time. So West Coast US for those who are interested. It is going to be streamed via YouTube. Yeah, Pikachu, if you are in the area and serious about being interested in like auditing a class or similar, reach out on Discord and I can see about getting you some information. Because we do occasionally leverage it, even though it's taught through the university. The instructors have quite a bit of freedom in who they let into the class, so I can chat with whoever's teaching. I haven't taught the class myself, and I think 3 years. My world got busy and it got hard. There's a chance I might drop in. But yeah, options, snapshots, monitors. Izzy, you sound like somebody who already knows the APIs. you may learn less than some people, but this is one of those areas where I got a bunch of colleagues asking me questions about configuration and how do I set this up and what goes in my app settings and, well, how do I configure different sources, and hey, where did all these magical default configuration sources come from and how do they work and all of that jazz. So it's going to be a little focused on ASP.NET Core type setup, but anything leveraging a generic host. So if you're using my WPF .NET templates, it'll apply to those as well. And similar. So if you are interested, feel free to sign up. Like I said, it will be streamed on YouTube. And I think, if I remember right, the recording goes public right afterwards. So if you aren't able to make it in person, if you at least sign up, I believe you get the YouTube link, and then you can grab the link after the fact and watch it as well. So it just means you can't ask questions live or whatever. But for everybody here on the stream, I think most of you have figured out, if you want to ask me a question, where you can do it. There's a hint. It's right here. So yeah. Had to for one of my libraries. Perfect. And I will say this, Izzy. I am going to focus slightly more on app level development, not on library development, which is there's a few extra subtleties for what you do if you're building like a NuGet package that's expected to leverage this. It's not complicated, but though you may have already kind of worked through some of that already, given your comments on those APIs. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. So I think we may punt this. I may also reach out to Nikolai and see if he has anything that he's wanting to sneak in before I kick a thing. This memory leak as well, I will point out that I've yet to find a good reproduction. I have a sinking suspicion. The more I've looked into the dumps that I've gotten from people, I think it's hardware related, and I think it's in WPF, not necessarily in my library. But I haven't been able to prove or deny that yet. How to dynamically configure things for a data transport storage framework. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, there might be a couple things. Oh, gave up when I was asked to write it in Java and Python. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very, very, very sorry. Okay, so I was kind of proud of myself the other day. We'll see. I'll get my stuff to wake up. So this is the Velopack flow. So this is the hosted solution for my server probably went to sleep. Wake up, server. Wake up. Right now it is running on a server that goes to sleep after like 2 minutes. which is kind of annoying at times. There we go. Server's awake. But so we had this nice releases page, and I did this channels page. I was proud of myself. For somebody who doesn't do much React development, I got all this working, and I was going quite well. Oh, thank you for the affiliate thing. Yes, it's been good. I never actually I didn't start streaming to try to like make a affiliate or partner or anything. I was like, oh, it just kind of happened by accident. So, but thank you. I appreciate that, Code Life. But this thing here is actually the Uno demo that I did at the build conference for some of the Uno guys. That's this app here. And so there's a handful of things I started logging into our backlog of stuff to work on. Because this is good, but for example, it doesn't let you delete. And you can see here that, version 107 exists, but there's the full NuGet package, there's the setup.exe, and then there's the portable package, and then there's a Delta package. So for version 107, we've actually got 4 files that are uploaded and sitting out there, which is fine. It works. It's just not exactly what I want to see happening here. And it also, there's no link, and actually that's a good point. In links for downloading installers. Boom. See, I gotta keep going through here because I keep threatening people saying that we're gonna have that public beta thing, but there's a number of these kind of things where it's like, yeah, that little bit of functionality is kind of doing it. And yeah, it is. Thank you, Code Life. Yeah, it's great seeing when community kind of builds. And I will admit, I have been shocked at how like some people that turn up consistently with questions and similar and who float in and out, it's always amazed me at how many of them show up and stick around, which is, yeah, it's cool. I like it. Some people I know are colleagues because I've started to memorize their screen names, and I know that they stalk me. So they know why I'm tired on Thursday mornings at work. I'm just joking. I'm never tired. I have a Mountain Dew and a coffee, and I'm good. Okay, but the idea here is I want to take and on our samples right out here. So, for example, if anybody wants to play along, out on our public repo, we have a Avalonia app. We've got a WPF sample. Thank you. And I would like to put an Uno one out here. We also do have our docs page, and right now the sample apps are basically just linking back out. Like if we do the WPF one, it's just taking us right back into that same repo. We've got a lot of stuff that we would like to do on these doc pages to flush them out. Specifically, Kaylin wants to get a more like wizardy tutorial, right? Pick your language, pick your platform. Hey, here's the steps you need to do X, Y, and Z, right? But at a minimum, I want to get an Uno one out here, so just off to the races. So step 1, let's make an Uno app. And I learned something very important. I accidentally ran into an Uno bug when I did this the first time. If you make one, and they may have fixed the bug already, don't end your project name with .uno. Bad. Things stop working in very weird ways. And yeah, it took a little while to track down that problem. That was fun. Using your templates under the hood. These ones are not currently using my templates, but my templates are going to start. I should say this. My templates are going to start having Velopack integration very, very shortly. Specifically, the package that I wanted to show off last time I did the Velopack stuff is now live. This is now live, which is great. And you can see latest version was posted a day ago. So it's we'll say recent. Which is good because when I did the last demo, I was using one of the ones from 13 days ago and I kept finding bugs. So I believe I have fixed all my bugs, but who knows? It was good enough for a demo. So, but let's actually go through and do this. So Uno platform app, that sounds great. That is not where my repo is stored. Stand by. Gotta remember where I put it. Velopack. There, that's where it is. Okay, samples. So we're gonna go here, and then I'm trying to think of what is the a good name for this. A prerequisites. Yes and no. So yes, there is built-in support for being able to install like the C++ and like .NET runtime stuff. That is there. Arbitrary other installers, that is not there. Yeah, Wix has the bundle. There is not necessarily a straight equivalent for that yet. And part of the challenging bit with doing that is setting up that dependency so that when you get uninstalled, your dependency goes away too. Because that's ideally when you do an install, if you then do an uninstall, the system should be back in the exact same setup. Oh, what's Uno? It's the thing on my shirt. No. So that is a great question. JC. So Uno platform. Previously, I had done a stream on Avalonia. You could think of Uno and Avalonia as competitors. They kind of are targeting the same market areas. Yeah. So it's the same idea as shame. I would like to install RSTP server. At present, it's stored as a resource. Yeah, I think at present that's the only option with Velopack, Izzy. Check the. Sorry, I'm getting. I will come back to Uno. Haven't forgotten. I think. Um. Yeah. There's not. I don't see an issue out here for it. If you're able, Izzy, do you want to open an issue and just specifically call out like as long as, and I'll say this without sharing any details that shouldn't be shared, call out exactly what the other installer is, because there, depending on the other installer, there may be easy ways to handle it. I don't know if there's going to be a solution that we can come up with that just arbitrarily does it, but if it's another like MSI, I think we can handle that. Like arbitrary other installs, I don't know if we can handle, but if it's like a dependent MSI, we might be able to deal with that. Okay, so Uno. So this is another solution, again, not too unlike Avalonia, that if you decided you wanted to build a cross-platform application, and you like your WPF stuff as I do, this is another option for you as well. I think Uno and Avalonia are the big names outside of Microsoft when it comes to doing cross-platform .NET development. They actually had a really cool thing at one point. So Microsoft open sourced this calculator app, which is written in WinUI. Trying to remember at what point they open sourced it. WinUI 2, WinUI 3, one of those. But they open sourced it. Uno promptly took that open source and recompiled it on their platform, and then demoed the calculator app running in a browser under WebAssembly without changing the code. Like just replatformed it, which is frankly quite amazing, right? So you can take your XAML and WPF related stuff that you're familiar with and start compiling for web, start compiling for mobile and similar, right? There's Morton Nielsen, who goes by Dot Morton on the platform formerly known as Twitter. He posts a lot of kind of cool things that he has built running Uno on like a Raspberry Pi with a touchscreen. I think the last one I saw, he was controlling his Spotify playlist with it for what I assume was kicks and giggles. Um, but but built out his entire UI with like a touchscreen keyboard with Uno. So if you want to take the XAML stuff like what I do and build it and run it on another platform, Uno is I like I said, I think it's one of the two big names. Avlodi and Uno, I think, are the two best solutions to pick for it. Basically a portable zipped app. FFmpeg, GStreamer. They are tools for testing things we build at work. But he managed to get. Interesting. Is this something where if it's just a portable zipped app, Izzy, you can probably. So we distribute a WPF app. It's not with Velopack, but it's with Cloud Squirrel, which is Velopack v old. But for things like an FFmpeg or a GStreamer that are portable zipped, you can bundle multiple exes into the installer. Is that a possibility for you, or do they need to be separate? Because as long as they end up in the output directory, they can get bundled and shipped out. If you need to like generate extra like desktop shortcuts and similar for them, you might be on your own there at the moment. But that's also something that we could solve because you can bundle more than one exe into a single installer. That's definitely doable. Extract them to different places. No, the one that we do, the extra exes that come along, we have them in a subdirectory of our application. And in this case, the application is responsible for starting them, so it intentionally looks for them at a relative path. So it's not in a separate directory, but it's app settings, wherever the app is installed, /tools/insert, FFmpeg exe or whatever you want in there to do it that way. But I guess that's the question is, do they need to be installed into a different place, or could they be packaged and shipped with the application? That would be another option. Okay, so all of that work and I was trying to fuse. Let's call it Uno sample. That seems to be Uno sample. Send it. Place. Oh. Okay. I wonder why that's the case. Okay. Now, here's one thing you're going to learn about Uno real quick. Their new project wizard is kind of slick. So, for example, it's very wizardy. And look, it's built with Uno. What a shock. The main app does not get installed machine wide. The machine wide install is something that is on our roadmap to implement because there is plenty of people that have a desire to install into program files. At present, everything installs into local app data to avoid UAC prompts. Because at the moment, program files not good as may need permission to run the tool as admin. You still remind me, is yours thing a WPF app? Because you can set up your manifest on WPF to say that when your app starts to launch as admin, and then any processes that an admin process starts run as that same elevated user. Thanks for giving Uno platform a try. No. Uh-oh. I was expecting it to prompt me with more choices. Why didn't it go through the rest of the wizard? Was I supposed? Did I hit the wrong button? I hit the wrong button. That might be okay. What did it install? You might need to install extra stuff. I don't doubt that I need to install extra stuff. But what did you do? What did you do? That's not bad. Yeah, it's going to take it a minute because you can see the dependencies has the little yellow triangle. And this thing down here is building. Yeah, not obvious. But what is happening is in the background, it's doing a design time build, which is restoring NuGet packages, which is going to take it a moment. And I'm willing to bet the extra stuff it wants to install is probably related to one of these targets. I just don't care at the moment. There we go. Stop tools for testing. Hang on. WPF manifest. Run elevated. I think you can do. Where is it? Yeah, this thing. So I guess the question is, because you can certainly use the manifest. You can certainly use the manifest to tell your WPF application to run as administrator. And then from there, if you do a process.start on a downstream tool, that tool will also be running as administrator. Net web app for file hosting. There may just be a question of, or I should say, the hard part is if you don't always want that, right? Because then you have to prompt when you go to launch, which gets interesting. But yeah, so that, yeah, there may not be a full solution, but it may get you close. Okay, so let me see here. What do we got? WinApp SDK packaged. Let's do unpackaged. So this is, so you'll note based on the name here, this is trying to remember what it is under the hood. If it's WinUI or WPF or what it is. But when you target desktop, you will get a desktop executable, but they do use the Windows App SDK for building and deploying. Enter your name, Kevin. Go to second page. Huzzah! Like this is the sum total of the entire application. Like it's like this is their demo. This is fine. Okay, you shut up for a minute. I was curious to look at so for people who are familiar with like Xamarin Forms, this should feel very familiar to you. This should feel very, very familiar to you. Where you've got basically different program launch points or heads of your application, and then a whole bunch of shared code, right? But it means that if you want to do this, given that this is going to be a Velopack one, we're going to get rid of the platforms that don't matter. Because we are not a good solution for that, I think. So we're gonna whack those because those don't make a lot of sense inside of. What's your problem now? Yeah, reload project. Because we don't actually need those, and we're gonna rename this to Velopack because we want to show that off a little bit. Okay, so we got that, we got that, we got that. We want to build this up. We've got a running application. I was kind of hoping to see where because you can Trying to see what it was actually leveraging for. Oh, this is using reactive UI rather than. I don't like this. We're gonna back out. I don't like this. I want to grumble, grumble, grumble. I wanted to tell it to use MVVM Lite or not MVVM Lite. Wow, old school. The MVVM toolkit. So stand by. We're gonna just blow that away and we're gonna blow that away. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again. Okay. Create new project. Uno. Wait, no. I want platform app. And then I want you to be not there. Let's see here. Can I just say how nice it is to have my mouse cursor actually showing up? Uno sample, I think is what we said we were going to call it. Create. Okay, so we're going to go down the line. Platforms. I don't want Android. I don't want iOS. I don't want WebAssembly. I will take OS X, Windows, desktop. Yeah, so Windows is a WinUI 3 target platform. Desktop is a Skia desktop, which I think, if I remember right, they were talking about WPF in here somewhere. Okay, yeah, see, they like model view update pattern. I like MVVM. Turn that off. I like XAML. Great. Theme. Yeah, we can do material. Great. Extensions. DI, configuration, localization, HTTP, regions. Great. Default logging, like you can plug in the serial log. Like, this is how nice they make this. VS Code debugging, great. Uno toolkit, Maui embeddings. If you wanted to go there, you can tell it you want to have a server component and it'll gen that up. Heck, let's throw in the media element. Like, there's just so much here. No auth, don't need that. We are going to change this to Velopack. Velopack. Do we want unit tests? No, not for a sample app. We don't want any CI pipelines. Go. Like, tell me that wasn't a nice new project experience. I will say this. Uno did that well. So, props to you, Uno team. That new project experience is pretty nice. Like, bippity boppity booyah. And now if we go and look in here, we should see, yeah, so now we're down to just the platforms in question. If we look at the CS proj, right, it's made the same edits that I did. Great. We've got the same launch sample there. If we go to the, where was it? Presentation, right? We've got a main page and we've got a main page view model, and we are using the MVVM toolkit. Things aren't quite like I'd prefer an underscore on the name, but you know what? It's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal, right? If we launch, we should get the same app type experience. Again, this kind of stuff is just like, this is, in my opinion, what spinning a new project should feel like. Debugging Mac Catalyst. Well, conveniently, I wasn't trying to launch a Mac Catalyst app. Here, let's look at the desktop one, because this is the Skia rendered one. Debugging Mac Catalyst on Windows. Why do you think I'm trying to run Mac? Okay, let's just build, because I'm wondering if the if it's falling back on the wrong thing. Launch. There we go. Apparently you should build it first, because if you just F5, it gets itself confused. Okay. Oh, and if you have caps lock on, it does that. Great. All right, that's the sum total. Okay, so we're gonna clean this sucker up a little, because I don't think we want all of that. Like, we're going to get rid of the second page. We're going to just have it check for updates and do all of that stuff. Okay. Step 1, manage NuGet packages. Browse, Velopack, pretty please, pre-releases. We want latest and greatest. Give me build package. Darn it, we're going to show this thing working and being awesome. And then we're going to do this. Yep. Yep. Install that. Okay, great. Okay, next up, we need to go and grab our main method. So on our platforms, we're going to need to insert some code on all of these main methods. I guess this one doesn't need it. Oh, thank you for the affiliate anniversary. Yes, it has been great. I appreciate it. As always, I have fun coding, and I'm glad other people get to enjoy it as well. Okay, so we're going to go back to our samples, and I think I can just poach literally straight from my Avalonia sample. Because there's nothing overly important in here. Yeah, so we're just going to grab this. We're going to do this. Okay, and then this guy is trying to run with a logger. I don't think we even need that. Yeah, because we don't need an iLogger. We'll do that there, and then we'll do the same thing on the Mac Catalyst side. I'll have to con somebody into testing the... Since I don't have a Mac here, I might have to con somebody who has a Mac to run this and test it for me. Okay, so that gets me that. That gets me that. Let's go to our presentation. And on our main page, we want to do something like look up the installed version of the app. And let's see, public. Oh, see, this is one other thing that I don't like. Like, it's using the MVVM toolkit, but it's not doing it correctly, right? Like, you don't need this. You can just decorate this with relay command and be done. Right? Done. You're already using source generators with the observable property. Go all the way. Do the whole thing, right? So we're going to do something like private async task, check for updates. We're going to need that. We're going to make that a command. Great. We're going to do something like relay command, private async task, download updates. And then, let's see, relay command, private async task. Restart and update, I guess. I don't know about apply, update, and restart. That's probably a little cleaner as far as what it's going to do. Then I don't think we want any of this garbage. That's going to go away, and the entire second page goes away because we don't need that stuff. We're just going to do it all in one page. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Great, 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 great. Okay, and I don't need the name, don't need the navigator. Whack it all. Just whack it all. Right, so that goes like that, that goes like that, that goes like that. Okay, now if we go back to our samples, let's see, I think this one is just in the main window, isn't it? So, yeah, because it's doing this, and it's doing button update clicks. I don't know how I feel about that. Don't know how I feel about that. Replace with your update path. Oh, and this thing is referencing the sample helper. Let me look. What was this sample helper? I don't know if we want that. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna do make me a field. Make me a field. No, that's that. No, that's incorrect. private, read only, update manager. So for reference, in a real app, I would probably be making this a DI dependency that I inject around rather than this kind of stuff. Okay, and then we're gonna show off it working because there's an overload on update manager, right? There's URL or path, which if you're hosting yourself, you just point it at wherever you're hosting, right? Your storage account, your S3 bucket, your network share, whatever. Right? But there's this update source overload. So Velopack, oh, do we not oh, we don't publish it, do we? Oh, we don't publish it. Suck. Let me go look. We're gonna check this out. I think it's hidden behind a flag. That's disappointing. I'm tempted to embed it. Let's see. Hold on, I don't know if I'm on old stuff. Here, Velopack. Am I my latest? Nope, I am way behind. How badly is this gonna bite? Pull. What could go wrong? Let's see. What have I missed in the last 10 minutes? Are you gonna get my free coffee at station? Yeah, no, not a ton. Is he just getting the delete file? I don't know why the package lock thinks I've edited it. Just trying to figure out I wanted to show off doing the Velopack flow stuff, but I might have to, yeah, reload. Save. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. Let's run a local NuGet package. How bad is that if we run a local NuGet package? Not a bad idea. I'm trying to decide whether, because I'd like to show off the build package, but I can't. The build package kind of requires something over here. See, where is the Velopack flow update source? This is the class. Why is this not? This should show up. I don't see it. There it is. Oh, it is there. Okay, cool. Never mind. Scratch everything I said. No local package. It is in the pre-release NuGet package. Good. So this is the magic sauce. This is the guy, right? Defaults pointing at my API. Does the needful. Does the magic. Makes everything happy. Yeah, shut up. I just did a pull. You're fine. Okay. So, check for updates. So first, if update manager is installed, right? So the key thing here is if you just F5 the application right now, the update manager needs to be an installed application so that it knows something about itself. I usually run a Nexus 3 instance for all my devs so I don't have public-private repo issues. See, that's not a bad idea. That's actually one thing I've been playing around quite a bit with is spinning up all of my stuff in Docker. Like that .NET Aspire, for people who haven't seen it, like this thing here, even if you don't leverage all of it, like they're just the orchestration with their dashboard I've been using on tons of projects, because F5 on a single project, starting up all of my things is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, 100% infrastructure as code. See, and that's on Velopack. That's the only thing that I'm not using Aspire, or I shouldn't say only thing. That's one of the things that I'm not using. Aspire will generate like bicep files for all of the infrastructure that you define for it, but I just told it, nah, I'm gonna write my own Terraform, hands off, like go away. I'm gonna do this my way. So I just rolled my own Terraform bits, and it's much nicer. Anyway, so the update manager needs to be an installed application in order for its methods to actually work. Let's see. Check for updates async. Ooh, that's annoying. We don't support cancellation tokens. We should have a cancellation token. Okay, so this guy here gives me back the update info. Yep. We're gonna do that, and I think, yeah. So let's just do this. Let's do observable property, private update info, latest update, and we're just gonna do this, right? Latest update. Boom, done. What is your problem? Oh, this thing needs to be nullable. Got it. Okay, so you click the first button, checks for updates, assigns into here, right? This is going to be if update manager is installed, and that's pretty close. That's not quite what I want though. Is latest update. So the idea here is when accessing a property, you don't necessarily want to assume that if you access the property a second time, that the value won't have changed out from under you, right? So this does a null check and then assigns into a local variable, and then we're going to do all of our work on this local variable, and local variables can't change. So let's see, download updates async, right? So we'll feed it the update. This one has a cancellation token. Yeah, the other one probably should. I'm willing to bet it's because it doesn't know its source, so it has trouble. But we passed through here. Okay. And then you don't return anything fancy, right? You're just a task. Perfect. You know what? Maybe we only do 2 buttons. Download and install. Yeah. And then let's do this, because this guy will actually accept a progress indicator. Yeah, so let's see. Progress. Yeah, let's give ourselves a little progress. Can you use cancellation token and relay command? Yes. There's a handful of built-in stuff. If you do this, it just works. The generated code builds it up for you. Here, 1 second. Let me get this guy built and I'll show it to you. Let's see, observable property. So close. Let's see. Do int progress like that. And so we're going to come down here and go progress gets null. Right? So we'll clear it out at the end. And it shouldn't matter, but we're going to just set it here. Is that what the create cancel command triggers? Yeah, so that's just going to get this implemented and compiling, and then we'll go look. So if we go here, we go here. Let's see, and then we grab the community toolkit source generator, and then I want to look at the relay command generator, this guy here, and then let's see, download update, this one. So you'll note it goes through and builds oh, it doesn't show it to me here. Global toolkit command. Oh, they hid it away from me. It will pass through the cancellation token. By default, it prevents concurrent executions, right? So so it depends on how you want it to behave. So if you do the generate, the include cancel command, right? So this one here, right, will generate out the equivalent cancel command for you as in addition to it, so that you have a second command that you can bind to that will trigger cancellation of the token. The other thing that you can do, if that's not what you want, because sometimes all you want the cancellation token for is if a second invocation comes through, cancel the first one and then let the second one go, right? So allow concurrent executions, true, because by default, this thing, while it's executing, it won't allow a second execution to come in for you. That way, if somebody's, monkey clicking, only the first one makes it in, and then the commands can't execute returns false while this guy executes and then goes to true afterwards. But if you don't want that behavior, you just set this guy to true, and now you have a cancellation token that when it comes in, if there's a subsequent execution, it'll cancel the first one and let the second one go. So depending on which flow you want, just toggling those bools around, and it all just magically works. Just doing this by itself isn't going to do much, because without a cancellation command to trigger a cancellation or a concurrent execution, no one's going to ever cancel this token. So it's just kind of wasteful. So, yeah. All right, one moment. There we go. Another UI question then. Fire away, Izzy. Let's see. So this will do the progress. This will do this. And then we're going to go down here and go State Manager, apply updates and restart. Latest update. There, we're going to do that. So we're just going to make the download, and basically once download finishes, it's just going to go. Yeah. That's fine. We don't need to make it too complicated. Don't need to make it too complicated. Okay, so here. Right, so let's do one more observable property. Observable property, I guess it doesn't need to even be observable. Public bool is installed. Right, and we're just going to feed this update manager is installed. That way we have a way of switching in our UI to display something different. Can a button swap which command it uses, or does it have to be two buttons? Hide the main button, show the cancel. One button to rule the world. Yeah, so great question. So the easy way around it, right? I've done both, and so you can do either. And I will oftentimes, I guess it depends on what kind of world I'm living in. Oftentimes when I have the same button using different commands, it's just a style trigger, right? So style, target type, button, right? And then you style trigger. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm not in WPF land. I'm sitting here living in WPF land. Stand by. Let's see. What is the stupid trigger thing in here? I'm trying to remember event trigger. Might have to go and look. So in WPF land, it would be a style trigger. And so if I'm swapping the content of my button, it's not uncommon for me to swap out and swap the command property as well. Because the command property on a button is just like any other property. So there's nothing stopping you from applying a trigger to it and changing out the command to point to a different command. So sometimes what I've done is, like, I'll take a button and put like a progress spinner inside of it. And so in those cases, I'm swapping the content of the button around. And so I might swap in a different command for doing the cancellation, right? Because in that case, it makes a little more sense. And so doing a style trigger and just switching it, So in that situation, I would probably use the attribute here to generate the cancel. What is it? Include cancel command. I'd probably do something like this, and then a style trigger swapping out the command being generated um, to have to switch between the cancel command and the real command. Cancelable button. You know, honestly, there's a handful of those types of things where I've been tempted to build them, and I've been tempted to build them almost as an auxiliary library because there's certain controls like that that people want, but I don't want to build them as like, how do I put this nicely? I don't want to build them as an actually good control because a well implemented WPF control is lookless, has a nice template, all of that stuff, and then people want a lot of control about, ooh, I want to style this, ooh, I want to tweak this. I almost want to make a library that's opinionated controls. Like, no, you don't get everything. This is the look and feel. Because I often do that for apps, right? Is I will build up certain opinionated controls like that. That's like, no, for this app, darn it, this is what a cancelable button interface is going to look like. Done, right? I'm not going to make everything customizable because I don't want it customized. I want it that. So I've been tempted to kind of build something like that. Functional controls. Yeah, I just have to be careful not to insult my prior work. Okay. Speaking of insulting my prior work, let's see. So navigation bar title, that's fine. We can leave that here, and then inside of here is where we actually want to do all of the interesting work. So this is just a straight stack panel. So I kind of want to do a text block text. The app is not installed with Velopack, right? Because we're going to slap this guy in. And then I think it's is visible, if I remember. No, is it visibility? It is visibility. Okay. Binding. And then what did I do? Is installed. Installed. Converter. Static resource. Okay. See, this is where I'm getting MDX controls with Mountain Dew. Good point. Thank you. I hadn't opened my second Mountain Dew yet. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, because I want to do a is installed with it. Okay, now how do I do? Okay, Uno, impress me. Impress me because I don't know your stuff well enough. Let's see. Docs. Do you have a good binding reference doc? Is what I want. Ooh. Golia? Binding 101. That sounds like exactly what I'd like. Thank you. Yeah, this is MVU. I don't want C# markup binding. I want I want XAML stuff. Um Yeah, because they have a lot of extra extensions. So this is one of the things that I've longed for WPF to do, and I doubt they'll ever do it because it would mean like back compat nightmares. But like nicer binding syntax, right? Because yeah, if you're familiar with WPF, they're very similar to the relative source binding of find ancestor, which are really bloody obnoxious to type out because they're big, long, and verbose. This has nice shorthand. Like, that's really bloody convenient. Thank you. That's exactly what I want. Let's see here. I was hoping that there was, and I might just have to go look up because I think this is just using the controls, features. Fluent styles, blah, 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 blah. Xbind. Ooh, this might even be better. This is another feature that doesn't exist in WPF that I would love to get. Yeah. So Xbind is similar to binding, only think of it more as like compiled. So rather than a binding object that uses reflection to go in and grab its stuff, it actually just gens the C# to just straight go and access stuff. It means that you can do crap like this, right? Just straight up invoke methods as part of, like, you don't need a value converter when you can just use a method, right? Like that's pretty slick. Um Actually, does that solve my problem? Because I just want a ternary. I don't think you can do a ternary with these. You'd have to markup extensions. You'd end up having, because these are custom markup extensions. Yeah. Um, WinUI binding Boolean to visibility, I think is what it is. Bool to visibility converter. That's what I want. Gimme. Yeah, because we've got this, right? It can be used easily if targeting 14393 or later. The first declare the converter in your resources. Trying to understand what it means. Done automatically through Xbind. Uh oh. Oh, that's what it means. Oh, that's very, very convenient. So that's that the and then we just don't need a converter. Okay? I want to see this work. I want to see this work. I did not know that was a thing, and I'm very happy about that. Again, something else that would be nice. Oh, let's see. I didn't nuke out all of the second page stuff. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, my cough that I picked up at the build conference has not quite gone away yet. Let's see. Is installed is not found on main. Oh, you have to do data context. Because if I remember right, so unlike binding, whose context defaults to data context, let's see, it's not found on object. How do I set up the X bind? Okay, see, I'm showing my ignorance. Oh, it's the X data type. Data type gets main view model, and now it just works. I think. Because this is the other advantage of Xbind is you get compile time checking. Namespace local. Yeah, the local namespace should work because it's under presentation. That should be fine. What's your problem? Data type is only allowed for data templates. Oh, well then how do I tell it? How do I tell Xbind to play nice with does not use data context as default source and uses the page to control itself. The code behind for your page or user control. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? We'll do that. Public main view model. View model. I'll just do this. Data context. Gonna do that. Just gonna do that. And then here, this becomes view model dot. Then the world becomes a happy place. Local is installed. Oh, is that? Wait, something seems wrong about that. Is that how would it know which class? Oh, and I want the opposite. This? Let's see. How do I negate in here? Gate. Not. Let's see. Bum. Is a default mode of one time. Yep, that's fine. Yep. Not support index syntax. Do not support blah blah blah. I wanna invert it. Oh, why am I doing this the hard way? Hey, Copilot. Invert this X-bind so that the text block is only visible when is installed is false. Go, Copilot, go. I could read docs or I could make it do all the work for me. Except it thinks that a not is perfectly acceptable. The XAML parser thinks that it is not. We're going to see what happens. I expect that did not work. Okay, not shocking. Do this. Yeah. Why is this hard? It's not supposed to be the hard part. Okay, I'm gonna come down here and we're gonna clean some of this up. Okay, so button, on. Check for updates. And binding. I already forgot what I called it now. Check for updates. That's what I want. What's your problem? Shut up. I think you're just unhappy. Check for updates. Command. All right, so that's gonna go there. Okay, figure yourself out. Is installed. I'm just gonna have this thing return true for the moment because I wanna see that X-bind actually work. Then we're gonna get the button going. So Microsoft sometimes has a second boolean which just knots the boolean. See, that's what I'm afraid of. The app is not installed with Velopack. Great. I mean that does kind of what I would expect. And then my button works. I I think what I want to do here though is I want a let's see, can execute. Can I get away with that? I think I can get away with this. I want to check this. I think I can get away with pointing the can execute at a Boolean property, which would be really slick if I could do that. No, because this button should be disabled. It's not. Bummer. Private bool. Can run update command. So it is that. Then I think we go here and here. I'm not horribly shocked because the signature of a command requires typically a callback. I was just really hoping. Interesting. Not disabling. Wow. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Hang on. Hang on. If you make your Boolean always return true, it probably always returns true. Don't do that. Okay. This time for realsy. The math checks out. Yes. Okay, good. Now the button is properly disabled. Okay. I was like, okay. I was like, something seems really weird. Why? Like, I did the can't execute stuff before. Okay, so that works. That works well. That works well. And so all I have to do is figure out how to invert this garbage. Just don't want to have to knot this, but maybe that's what we do. Public bool not installed. All right, view model is installed. That's all I want. Then I can do not installed. All right, so that goes there. And then we're gonna go. Let's see. So we've got a button to check for updates, and then we're gonna want to do a. I think down here we're gonna do a text block, text, binding progress string. Do you not have a string format? You don't. Just make our life easy and do the string formatting here rather than as an int. Just do this. And then do this. And actually, if we do it like this, let's see. So the formatter here ends up being 0:, the P for progress. I don't remember. C# numeric string formats. I usually tell people you don't need to memorize these. You need to memorize that these web pages exist and go use them. Currency, decimal, exponent, fixed point, number, percent, P. Number multiplied by 100 and displayed with percent symbol. Key thing here, number multiplied by 100. So this thing is already multiplied by 100, right? So in this case, it's not going to matter because it's 0. But this guy here needs to be something more akin to this. Right, so we're going to do progress divided by 100.0 because progress is an int. Dividing by a double forces it into a double. and then we do this. Right, that'll get me a percentage base. So something akin to that. And then out here, what we do is, oh, shut up. Yes, shut up. I understand you're unhappy that it's not valid syntax. Stop ruining it. So it should be 0.42 or 42. Ah, good question. So this guy here, the from Velopack, the progress callback here, I think it's documented this way as well, is yeah, will be called with values from 0 to 100. So this progress callback is going to come back as ints. So it would give back the number 42. However, the string formatter for percent, which is p, which is what we're using, is going to multiply the value by 100 because it's expecting a double between 0 and 1 rather than an integer between 1 and 100. So it's 42. We divide by 100 to get to a decimal just so the string formatter can multiply it by 100 again. Yes. Kind of annoying. The amount of math happening here. This is something that maybe should be changed, but yeah. Yeah, basically that. Okay, so we're going to do that. Check for updates. And then I want to do, yeah, that. Thank you. Okay, Copilot, what do I want to do now? If I do this, what am I going to put here? Huh? Huh? See, you're not that smart. Okay. Because here what I want to do is, actually, if I do xbind, does it have a mode? It does. One way. And I want to bind this to, I want to do a not null check. But I think what we can do here is public bool has update, right? And it's going to be last update not equal to null. But here's the next dirty trick. You can do this. Notify property changed for name of as update. So now every time latest update changes, it's going to trigger oh, we should do this. So now every time this guy changes, he's also going to raise property change for has update and then kick it off. See, Izzy, good luck at the grindstone. Don't have too much fun. So let's see. Visibility mode. Let's see. Has update. Boom. Oh, and I want this to be view model dot has update. Okay. And I think that gets me download updates. Yeah, so that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Okay. There is a task on the Velopack library because we want people to be able to debug and test this update manager stuff. Let's see, view model. Oh, that guy. Called. Do that. So the question mark makes this half of the expression a nullable Boolean, which means we've got three states, null, true, and false. And then we compare those three states against this. Okay, so this now works here. Okay, so that gets me something. Now we want to actually build an installer so we can test this thing on the other side. All right, so we are going to go here's a, I need a terminal. Why do I have no terminal here? Come on. Directory. Velopack. Okay. There. So if we go cd samples and we have our Uno sample, We go here and we go .NET build. Start here. And this may be something that we go and clean up on the main repository as well, because I don't know if we handled the, because I think the Velopack build project ties into the .NET publish command. So if we do .NET publish, we'll do cd release, because this is how hard it should be to publish a release. Let's see. The publish target is not supported without specifying target framework. Oh, right. Let's see. So -f net. What were we running? Net 8. 8.0. I don't want to type this. I'm way too late. I want this. Sudo give me a release. And I don't think it's going to try to publish for me. I have that off by default. Oh, good. It failed. 1.0 is not a valid version string. Interesting. See, I've now learned something new. Let's see. So the 1.0 is coming from here. Is it that? I'm trying to remember the appropriate string. 1.0. Was it the other one that gets set? One of these. Oh, I bet you it's not. It's neither of these. I think. What did I do before? This is where I got to remember what I did. E version equals 1.0.0. I think is what I ended up doing. Let's see here. So this thing here is present in your program.main. It is present in my program.main. Did I miss one? There. It's there. Am I missing something? Is there an extra? Let me just make sure. When I launch this, this is the main method that's firing, right? Not an idiot. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Oh. I didn't hit this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where is main? How many main methods are there? Missed one, didn't I? Let's see. That main method. There's that main method. There's that main method. Okay. If I go here and launch, where is my... What's your problem? What's your problem? What are you yelling at me for? I had this working on my other laptop. Okay, now we hit this method. Okay, so that makes sense. So if we go here, and we change this to just be what was the other target? Net 8 desktop. We come down here. Desktop. Yeah, this also bothers me is that we're getting this output here. So Okay, perfect. So that got me, I think, an installer. Let's test it. We open this directory. We got to set up exe. We're going to launch. I just realized we aren't displaying our. We're going to force the install. Installing Uno sample, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What? Why you no launch? Why you no launch? Are you crashing? I don't see you running. Let's check task manager. Boop-boo. Don't see you running. Well, let's see. It crashed. Unable to find. Oh, unable to find Microsoft Windows Desktop App Framework. Oh. What? The thing that it's literally right here that launches. I'm gonna just make sure this thing runs. Visual Studio. It should. There's the main method invocation. Oh. Look at that. Expected path. There's desktop app. Oh, maybe when it was saying it couldn't find all that stuff, I should have listened. Look at that. It wants 806 and it doesn't show it. Oh, so when I told it to shut up and I got rid of the yellow thing, that was a bad idea. I get it. I get it. You actually want the runtime installed so that you work. Picky, 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 picky. Not in here. Is it? Let's see. Do this with Winget, can't we? Winget search goes desktop app. Just want the runtime. The other thing we could do is we could self-contain it, but that seems hard. I'm also curious where the main method is for I'm curious where the main method is for the WinUI target. Because it's clearly not here. Where do you show up at? Okay, so there's two questions, right? One, we need to get the Windows desktop app runtime thingy mabobber so that it actually runs. Okay. I want this. Yeah, I want that. I want that, and I want it in get search that. Okay. Let's see. This is what I just want the download. Let's see. This is not 8. 8 is spelled with an 8, not with a 6. Let's see. Why do I just not have the latest SDK? .NET .NET dash list SDKs. Do I just not have Oh, I don't have 80301. Oh. Get search .net. Okay. I want this. Winget, all that one. So that'll get me 301, which 301 should come with 806. Yeah. So this is a dumb thing to be aware of. The .NET SDK. Oh, sorry. UAC prompt. Even though I should close down those Visual Studio. Visual Studio is gonna be very unhappy if I leave it running while I'm doing this. Yeah. There's actually 4 numbers here, right? So even though this is .301, it's technically .301 is what they're doing. But because of the way the file versions work, they only had 3 sections, and they wanted to use 4 numbers. That's where you get this weird disjoint. And so the 3 represents, what is it? The 3 is the quarter, I think is what it is. But bear in mind, in terms of .NET releases, C# releases in November. So, yeah, we're at the beginning of Q3. When did this drop? May 28th. Yeah, so I was good until last Tuesday. Right. Okay, got it. Got it. So I got screwed over because of a release last Tuesday that I didn't update fully for. Wonderful. Okay, good. As long as everybody's on the same page. As long as everybody's on the same page. Okay. To install. Great. Rinse, repeat. Let's try this one more time. Now I think I should have the relevant thingy-bobber. And actually, I think I could just run the app, can't I? The app just launched now? The app will just launch now. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Now it's actually launching. It's not going to find anything. We're gonna clean up this. Okay, so we're gonna clean this sucker up a little bit because this is a bad UX. So first of all, we're gonna change this from progress to status because we're gonna use this for a couple things. And we're gonna change this to status. Let's see. Status. Be starting. ... let's see. About downloading. We should probably spell restarting properly. That would probably help. It's going to be downloading. Then this becomes status. Okay, so that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Let's see. Status. Gets checking for updates. Okay, Copilot, what do I want to write here? That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Copilot. Okay, Copilot. Now, we want to put the latest update dot. Where's the version number sucker in this guy? Let's see. Target full release is downgrade. No, we want the target full release. And we want its version, I believe. Version, yeah. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. That cleans that up. Now we'll at least see updates when we trigger that. And then the last thing we want to put is I want to grab a current something up here. Text block. Text. Let's see. Text bind. View model. Current version. I want to have something that shows me my current version up here. Public string current version. I want to do the update manager current version. To full string. But that is nullable and something like that. Okay. That goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. Now, if I launch, okay, there were build errors which build this project the following was the experimental. Visual Studio, you're making this hard for me. You know that? You're making this hard for me. Let's see. .NET workload restore. Yep, go get me all the things. There's a bunch in here. Oh, it's gonna add me a couple things. Because it needs WASM tools, iOS. It's a little annoying that this SDK is requiring me to have the WASM experimental stuff, despite the fact that I'm not using it. Feels like there should be a check for that. Like I kind of get it. Like they want to install the tools because they don't know which one you might need. But like I killed the target framework for it. Kind of know that I don't need it. Kind of do. Okay, so Uno sample. Let's see. We're gonna just go here and give me this. If I do Uno sample, so here's the nice part, right? Is it whoop, it shows up here and I can just uninstall. I can kick out the old one. Yeah. What if I could tell them what I needed? Yeah, that would be convenient, wouldn't it? As you can see here, I'm getting a couple things. Just a couple. Come on. Download all the things. I just want to see this thing run through. Like I'll probably go through and clean some of this up because there are a handful of these things. Like some of these errors with my build stuff, those are obnoxious, and I'm gonna get those cleaned up. But I want to get a nice clean Uno sample going with all of the failed to authenticate signature. That's fine. This I think is an artifact of the fact that I was running preview Aspire builds where you had to turn off signature checks because you pull them from a private feed. Let's see, Uno sample. Okay. Then let's go here. Okay. Okay, launch. Please just work. I just want you to work. Of course. Didn't we? Workloads must be installed. Quasi experimental. .NET workload install quasi experimental. Go get it. Why was that so hard? Boy, this is going to be all kinds of fun stuff. Come on. Come on. You can do this. I didn't actually expect this demo to be taking this long. I guess I got kind of lucky when I did it before, as I had done it at the build conference right after everything had dropped, and I had spent the night before updating all of my tooling. So I had latest stuff on my machine across the board. Because naturally, the day after there's a big release of all of the .NET SDKs, I must install all the things. Like it's not easy to see, but like there's my the little bell down in the corner over here. Whenever it lights up with an update, I must install the update. It's a requirement. Okay, so that's still just the Aspire one giving me crap. Okay. So, are you happy now? That's really what I'm asking. Do I have enough stuff for you to build? Restart Visual Studio because I don't trust you to have picked up the latest stuff. It's gonna annoy me to no end if I really don't. Yeah, must click button. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a little obsessive in that regard. I do not like there's a little bit of FOMO of like, but there's an update. I must have the update. I must have the latest stuff. Like you can see I'm running the preview Visual Studios too because it's like there's new stuff. I want to play with the new stuff. Okay. The Mac Catalyst one that's doing it to me. The following workloads must be installed. I'm about ready to turn off Catalyst because I don't want to think about it. We're just gonna do this maneuver. Look, problem solved. I'll have to come back to making sure that I actually have the appropriate SDK installed. Oh, look, now it builds. So something about this, and I'm wondering if I might even need to do like a reboot after revving all of my SDKs. But, you know, rebooting in the middle of a stream is not a great experience. You know, there's that. Okay, so that looks better. The app is not installed with Velopack. Great. Great, 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 great. Okay. Perfect. Kind of want to do horizontal alignment center. And then horizontal alignment center just to make the buttons look a little nicer. Okay, so that gets me into there. Now, if we come back over here, my terminal. Yeah, ignore all this stuff. Ignore all this stuff. Let's republish. Because what I should be able to see is I should be able to see a 1.0 release work, and then we can see about pushing it up with. Okay, cool. Release directory, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So if I go here, I once again have a setup. I install it. I try to drag it onto the screen before it disappears very rapidly. And then the app launches. Hallelujah. You can check for updates. Oh, do I not show? Did I not actually set up the? Oh, dang it. Did the wrong property name. Suck. Renamed it and then this is gonna be the problem. So now we close this. We are going to uninstall the app. So I'm just going to do it on my other screen so I can just right click and uninstall. And we will rebuild the installer. This is why we want to have a better Velopack debugging experience when you want to debug through your update manager code, because right now you kind of have to publish an installer and then run the installer, and then your debugger isn't attached. So, okay. Same song, next verse. Bum. Okay, we created Uno sample 1.0. Reinstall. Oh, got it over. Boom. Then check for updates. There we go. Checking for updates. Surprised that that came back so quickly and then didn't do anything else. Because I sort of expected. Because it did, huh? It's like it's airing, but I don't. Hang on, there's a. There a console log? No. Well, so bloody close. What is going on here? Let's do this. We should probably be dealing with exceptions anyway, since we're making network calls. So there's a very real chance that these things are going to fail. Let's try that. Go here. Republish. What? Type or namespace definition. Oh, because you should make sure your code compiles before you try to run it. Okay, that's acceptable. Code should compile. I wonder if I actually need to uninstall it or if it's smart enough to just do a repair install. I think it's smart enough to do a repair install. Let's try. Yeah, look at that. Repair install. Booyah. Then check for updates. 404 not found. Okay, there we go. which is the expected behavior for something that's not actually published out there yet. Okay. Now we can have some fun. Now we can have some fun. Let's see. .NET tool update VPK global. I don't remember what the pre-release flag is. Dash pre-release. So I get my latest version of the VPK tool, and then I'll show you the magic. Yay. Okay, so VPK login. Log into Velopack. Log in with my GitHub, please. Thank you. Okay, so I have logged in. That is important, right? Okay, next thing that is important is, in order for this sucker to work, you have to go and set a couple key things. And I don't know if these are going to actually get checked in or not. Where is my Velopack? So if we go into here, and this is something that needs to get documented, but if we go and look at the build targets, the key things, so we automatically pack, that's tiny font, let's make this bigger. So we automatically do the Velopack pack command, which is what's building the installer when you run a .NET Publish. But what's not occurring by default is we don't automatically push your installer up to the service, right? So in this case, what we're going to do, we're going to go turn that behavior on. because I would like to push to the service. And then in order to push, it requires that you actually set the Velopack ID. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very unhappy. Let's see. Where is the Velopack pack ID? That's the guy. We got to give this thing a name. And in this case, I think I'm going to call it Velopack Uno sample. Now, I want to double check against my thing to make sure I'm not about to collide with my other Kebu Uno demo. See, these are different. They're different. You're okay. Now, if we go here, and I'm going to do this, publish. Hopefully, this just works. So you'll note it's now logged in and it's uploading. This is the cool part. This is the cool part. Or at least it's cool for me. Though my server probably went to sleep, so it's going to take it a moment to wake up. Now, once it uploads, the service does not just blindly take your uploaded files and start automatically hosting it. I think it's cool. Excellent. Excellent, Pikachu. I appreciate it. So when you upload files, and this is something that's not currently exposed in the UI yet, is it queues the files and then does a bunch of checks on them. Like it makes sure that your package ID doesn't conflict with somebody else's. It makes sure that you actually own it or similar, right? My account has a lot of permissions. So yeah, beauties of building this, I get lots of permissions. But what it means is once this thing gets all the way uploaded, and then it does some various scanning for malware and other stuff, right? Because you don't want to be a distributor of bad stuff. Once it passes all of those checks, that's when it's going to show up. Now, normally what would happen is you would see it show up in a releases thing, but because this is a brand new project, it's going to spin the whole project for me. Oh, look, new project. It's working. It's working. So if we go here, we can check it. So it's got the full NuGet package up so far, but here in a moment we're going to see the setup exe and the universal package make it up as well. So you can just keep hitting the refresh button while waiting for it to finish its scans. Yeah, that's right. It's alive. It does work. See, this thing I'm building isn't complete garbage. It actually works. It actually does work. I promise. And this is the hard part is, do I leave this portion of the sample in? Because I can run it because I ran a VPK login. But if somebody else wanted to run this same sample, they would have to do that step. So it's like, well, so ideally, that's how hard this stuff ends up being. Come on, process the files. Process the files. I'm going to force refreshes until I get it to load. It may take it a minute. But the nice part is this thing is now here. So if we go here, and I hit check for updates, no update available. Guess what happens now when I do this? Huh? Yeah. Let's launch. Yeah, because it all it really needs is it needs at minimum the full NuGet package. The other ones are bonus for like download links and whatnot. And like this one here it's going to do Delta packages as well. So you'll know last time it had 3 assets, or I guess it had 4. What was the 4th one? Oh, interesting. Hang on, did it make me an extra package? Oh, look at that. There's the other. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Velopack Uno sample. Oh, so I've got an interesting problem here because I changed that ID. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that. Those IDs are different. I don't know what this is going to do. So this is going to be exciting. Because this now uploaded to not Uno sample, but Velopack Uno sample. So if I look here, right? So this uploaded into here. And so I am expecting to see Velopack Uno sample 101 show up here. Oh. Or are they going to show up over? I don't. Latest release. Oh, this needs to be fixed too. Okay, hang on. I'm just finding all kinds of bugs that I want to report. I'm just gonna drag this over here and boom. Where did my thing go? Let's see. Project list. Last release. Last release column always shows never, which I assume this is either a column rename or similar. That, and I can come here and I'm just going to screenshot it. I have it all over here. Edit, paste, update. There. Bug to fix, and then oh, I want the other browser tab. Because I want to see. Okay. It did go here. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. That's, and I'm not actually confident that this problem isn't related. So there's a bug that Kalen pointed out to me in how we detect which of these files to upload, and none of them. So this could be related to that problem as well. Okay, so if I check for updates, yeah, I was wondering if it was going to do that. Is it's installed differently? So if I grab this guy, I'm going to just blow away everything but this so that I'm on Velopack Uno sample. And we're going to install Velopack Uno sample, which is a different app. That's the thing, is it's because it's got a different package ID, it's going to be a little different. Check for updates. And maybe we should change this from application name to do that. Okay, so let's do this one more time. Change this to a 2 because I want to see it. I want to see this actually play all the way through and work. So while that's going, yeah, so I want to figure out where the WinUI main method goes because it didn't appear to show up where I expected. Oh, I wonder, is there a I I bet you the WinUI one gens a main method from the application. I bet you that's what it does. I bet you that's how Uno is working. Because this is very similar to like UWP's stuff, and I'm willing to bet that that's how they're leveraging it. I I I'd bet money that that's how it's going. Okay, so I'll have to figure out how to where the proper place is to inject that. because ideally I want this Velopack app build, because the idea here is this is the one that when you're applying an update and restarting, you want this to occur very early in your process so that you don't waste time, like say starting up all of WPF just so that you can apply an update and restart. That's kind of wasteful. So you ideally want this as the comment indicates, as early as possible in your app startup, preferably right at the beginning of main. It doesn't have to be in main, but it does. There's a requirement that it's invoked in the same assembly that contains main. And I think there's a switch for turning that off. Okay, so I'm going to wait for this guy to show up here because now we have this. And you'll note it didn't gen a Delta package because at present it's not smart enough to go out and download the prior release, which is something that would be nice. Let's add that to the list. Oh, this is why I shouldn't break things out. Let's see. Close this. Velopack build should pull down existing release to build deltas. Alternatively, just build them server side, because that's the thing, is we can actually build the delta packages on the server for you. The only thing right now is we're working through some package signing, and so it's if we do the building of the delta packages on the server, we have to have enough information to sign it as well. Okay, so this guy here now is uploaded to 102s. So here, if I just hit check for updates, go for gold. What? Expected release entry to be Velopack release asset. What was Velopack at? What? Oh, bitch, I know what I did. Bitch, I know. This would totally work except for I split these things up. Because there's an update manager apply it's like a do all the things method. Oh, but because I pulled this thing back, this guy's latest update yeah, because Velopack oh man, see there's all these little things that now that are now tripping me up. I also probably need to make sure that I can clean this stuff up. In fact, you know what? It's gonna mess me up if I don't clean it up now. Let me check and make sure. Yeah, this is the one I want to delete. Delete project. There we go. Okay, because I don't want to leave that dangling around there. That'll clean up all of that. The issue is here. This is what's breaking. Download release entry. Is because it expects the Velopack asset that's passed in to be a release entry, which should have worked, but the update manager from this update source, because we pull it back here, check for updates, what implementation. This guy here should have pulled it back. Oh, because these all are... These are just straight update infos. And then here... Because when it's looking for it, what it wants, oh, Velopack release asset, which derives from Velopack asset, is where did it get the asset from? Hold on. Hold on, I'm confused about something. This is an update info in both cases. Wait. This is an update info. This is a Velopack asset. Wait. I'm confused on the... I work on this project and I don't understand what's going on. Oh. Oh, that's the problem, isn't it? Download updates. That's the problem, is it wants the target full release. That's... Boy, that is way too easy to mess up. That is way too easy to mess up. Yeah, that is way too simple. Okay. How do I fix it? I think I have to push 2 updates, don't I? So if I do a 3, that will push... We'll install 3 manually, and then we will... Because I need a version that has the update fix in it. And then I need... Yeah. Okay, so that might end up being the next thing, is dealing with these ones. Because we'll install 3 manually, because this is now 3. So when I double click the installer, I get the manual prompt to update. It's fine. All right, we'll wait for the uploads to finish. Check for updates. No updates available. Good. This guy goes here. And once this is done, we'll build a 4, and it should work. And then while this is going, let's see, create branch. Uno sample. Look here. That's fine. The suspense is killing me. I want to see this through. I know. I really want to see it work as well. It's so close. So bloody close. And honestly, if Update Manager is installed, we should probably be like, because this is doing application name, but we could theory update the title and whatnot. So once this is working, it'll go through. Should work. Okay, there's that. Okay, so 3 is out. Right? 3 is out. Check for updates. No updates available. Perfect. Okay, so 4 rolls. And then once we see 4 show up here, and this is the other thing, is right now we're uploading like the setup and the portable, like it uploads all the things, and it doesn't technically need to. I think, like, if you don't intend to install on Linux or you don't want a portable installer, because the portable installer is basically a fancy zip xcopy deploy thing. Like, it's not that advanced. So it's one I could see people saying, I'm not going to use that. Don't bother to upload it. So there's going to be some of these things where we end up whacking it. Yeah, so this guy's got to upload, and then he does all the processing and all the fancy stuff. And even though the backend repo is closed source, like I was talking to Kalen about it, and he was totally cool if I wanted to dev on it on stream. So we may show some of it off. Like there's a decent chunk of stuff there. Um, but yeah, like I don't no one's gonna be able to replicate it just from that. I mean, somebody could try. Like if somebody wanted to build their own setup here, they certainly could. Okay, so there they are. There's our delta, there's our full, there's our setup. We're good to go. So those guys all showed up. So check for updates. Okay. Crossing fingers. Send it. What the heck was Velopack asset? I do wrong? Because this thing here had to be a. I wonder if there's just a straight up bug in the library. When we run this, get release feed. It's not just a naming thing. No, I don't think so. Because the exception that we're hitting is this if condition right here. Is when because the Velopack flow update source is what is being passed into the update manager. It's effectively what tells the update manager where to look to get updates. In this case, pointed at the backend service. And specifically, what it's looking for is it wants the Velopack release asset to be the type that comes in, because in order for this thing to pull it down, it adds in an extra ID as part of the manifest. So if you were to just take the release manifest itself, right, which is this guy here, if we just crack it open with VS Code, right? Oh, shut up, VS Code. You get something like this, which is perfectly fine, right? You've got your packages, your SHA, your file size, but in order for our backend service to be able to generate the URL properly, it needs extra data. It needs to know something about our internal IDs, is what this is tacking on. And so when we tell it to download, what's happening is the release entry that's being passed all the way through to here isn't the Velopack release asset, it's the base class. And then we hit this exception and die, which is unfortunate because we are the ones passing it in, and I thought I thought when we called check for updates, this guy would come with that. Sorry, I'm getting tired. And maybe this is a problem that needs to be solved on a different day. Because you know what? I'm gonna check this in. Getting an Uno sample working. Right? Because I want that to go. Put that at that. And then I want to deal with some of those other problems that are around it. Yeah, I might need to sleep. I have noticed that there's a certain point during my stream where if I push through it, I may solve a problem, but oftentimes problems get a lot harder than they need to be. You know what? The one thing I'm not confident in, this airs out almost immediately. I wonder if it's here. Go to implementation. I wonder if it's here. Target release. Because I'm wondering where it falls into the, and I might just need to chase it on the other repository rather than look at the decompiled. Um, yeah, so it skips the deltas if the user's too far behind. Otherwise, it applies them. It's gotta be in here where it's pulling it back. I have to believe there's a problem with the interaction that I have here. And I think what I might do is I might just set up a test on the other repo and write some tests through it. I think that might work pretty well. Yeah, let's do that. I think we're gonna go there because I do want to get this up and going because I want to give, like I said, I want to have a good Uno sample that people can reference, and then get all of that built out, and then also test it on a Mac and similar. And I want to do the same thing on the Avalonia side as well, because there's no reason that this has to be difficult. Well, good, Pikachu. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoy doing this stuff, and this is on my to-do list of stuff to get done because when I talk to the Uno guys, I'm like, yeah, I'll put together a sample and get it up in the docs for you. It's just now taking me a little longer than expected to do so. I blame getting sick last week. It kind of knocked me on my butt a little bit and didn't get through everything. So, cool. Well, hopefully this works. I really want the demo to fly nicely. I thought it was going to be a simple demo. It always seems so simple in my head. See how it goes. But I do appreciate all the questions. I do appreciate the interaction. Pikachu, always love having you around. And anytime there's questions that come up or rabbit trails or whatnot, I am very happy to dive in and explain things. So thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. As always, we will do this again next week. Happy coding. See y'all next time.